denying that Miss Hanson is your daughter?
50-50 chance.
Yeah, no.
My wife cheated on me while we were married with
Your
my
Honor.
older brother.
Hold on, let's get some order. Let's get some order.
And I didn't even find this out until 5 years after we were divorced, that rumors were going around that she'd slept with my brother.
Well, 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 folks, it's time for another wild ride on paternity court, and this one's a doozy. We've got a classic case of family drama, with a woman named Misty Lynn Holshoe claiming to be the long-lost daughter of the Howard family. But the Howards are calling Misty a delusional troublemaker who's just trying to stir up trouble.
Miss Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Miss Howard, you and your sisters say Miss Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family and ruined your home.
Ms. Holshoe has got some pretty convincing evidence, like her name being in the family obituary and some of the Howard's relatives telling her she might be related. But the Howard sisters, Creason, Diana, Ray, and Kelly, aren't buying it.
That she possibly might be related to us.
That's not true, Your Honor.
That is true.
I had a relationship with Mr. Howard.
No.
No.
Through the years after I found out that he was my father. And the only reason
No.
I'm even wanting to know that he is my father is because I've recently learned that I have terminal cancer, and I'd like to have family history.
Now, the Howards have some pretty serious accusations of their own. They claim Misty's mom was a real piece of work, a promiscuous woman who destroyed their family and ruined their home. Ouch. Seems like there's some serious bad blood between these two sides, and they're not afraid to air their dirty laundry in front of the whole courtroom.
Growing up, did you ever hear about Miss Holshoe?
Never heard her.
Did anyone ever mention her?
Never.
Never.
Yes, one time when I was 19 years old, my dad, he was in from California. My parents were already divorced. We were in from California. He had us all meet him out at an old country bar.
One of the biggest bombshells comes when Diana, one of the Howard sisters, reveals that their dad actually did tell her that Misty was his daughter. But the other sisters ain't buying it, saying their dad was a bit of a ladies' man and probably just messed around with Misty's mom. Yikes, talk about a complicated family tree.
Mentioned her till the day he died.
He had never
Ever.
mentioned it to any of the rest of us.
So your dad said it to you?
Yes.
Your Honor, I lived
So
with my...
wait a minute, if he told you, why don't you believe it?
Don't want to speak ill, but I mean, my dad he's dead. Her mother has passed away. It's obvious my dad messed around on my mom. It wasn't just her mother.
And then there's Kelly, the other Howard sister, who's actually on Misty's side. She says their dad straight up told her that Misty was his daughter, and she's willing to stand by Misty's corner. But the other sisters? They're not having it, calling Kelly a blacklisted member of the family who's just trying to stir up trouble. This family's got some serious issues to work out.
We had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. That gave me
No topic.
the thought that obviously her mother probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
As the drama unfolds, we learn that Misty's even crashed a Howard family reunion, only to get chased out by the angry sisters. And the Howards? They're adamant that Misty's just making the whole thing up, saying she's never been invited to any of their family gatherings.
I do know that she thinks that she's our sister. So I asked, and he said no. My mother was the only woman that my dad, at that time, early in the...
So you never heard any rumors about your father cheating?
When we got older.
Right.
When we were
As
older.
teenagers.
Right.
As teenagers.
Only as teenagers.
But the real kicker comes when the DNA results are finally revealed. Turns out, Misty Lynn Holshoe is indeed the half-sister of the Howard sisters. The courtroom erupts in chaos, with the Howards looking stunned and Misty finally getting the validation she's been searching for. But just when you think it's all settled, Judge Lake drops a bombshell of her own.
Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%. You know, it's very sad from where I sit to see this venom.
I have no problem
deep
with them.
things.
It's them. They hate me. I have no problem whatsoever with them women.
Miss Lindsay is a feisty grandma who's sick and tired of two men who've been playing games with her daughter's life. She straight up accuses Mr. Word of trying to control her daughter Crystal when they were together. Apparently, he was still seeing another woman on the side and would only let Crystal talk to her own mom when he was out with his buddies.
You say you're sick and tired of two men whom you believe are using your grandson as a an excuse to walk in and out of your daughter's life. Now, you're here today along with your daughter, Crystal, to learn which of them fathered Austin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Word, you claim you want to be in Austin's life, but you say you're unsure you're his biological father.
Yes.
Now, Crystal chimes in and confirms that she and Mr. Word were definitely an item, but she also admits to sleeping with another guy around the same time. Crystal says she was honest with both men about the situation, but Mr. Word claims he didn't find out about the other guy until after the baby was born. Something doesn't add up here.
Only could talk to her.
She talked to
when
her
he
daughter
was out
every
with his
day,
friends.
Your Honor.
When he was out with his friends.
She talked to her daughter every day. She only stay a week at my house, and then she'll go home to her house.
No, when they first got together, he manipulated her and told her, "Oh, your mom is only telling you stuff about me because she don't want you to be with me."
Yes, you are jealous.
Yada, yada.
Grandma Lindsay is not holding back, y'all. She's got a whole list of grievances against Mr. Word, like the time he made Crystal, who was 8.5 months pregnant, sit outside in the scorching heat for 3 hours before he came home. Apparently, he also took Crystal's coat and shoes so she couldn't leave. Dang, that's some serious control freak behavior right there.
I go to work every day.
No, Your Honor.
I try my best to support. Austin as much as I can, Your Honor. And you can ask Crystal that.
Your Honor,
on Halloween.
I was living with him at the time that I got pregnant. I was bouncing back from his house to my house. I would stay there with him for a week, and then I'd go home for a week.
That's exactly what he said. Okay, so we agree on that point.
Yes.
Now we've got Mr. Jones, the other potential baby daddy, joining the fray. He admits that he and Crystal were in a relationship before, but he claims he didn't know about Mr. Word or that Crystal was sleeping with anyone else. Sure, buddy. Grandma Lindsay ain't buying it, though. She's convinced Mr. Jones is just as much of a deadbeat as Mr. Word.
Said you would be there. You were
We planned to have him. We planned to. I was on birth control, and I got off of birth control because we both agreed that we wanted to have a kid together and we wanted to start a family together.
That's true.
All right, so when did you find out that there could be someone else?
After the baby was born.
Judge Lake lays it all out there. This court case isn't about whether anyone likes each other. It's about little Austin knowing who his real dad is. And Grandma Lindsay is not messing around. She's made it clear that if either of these guys wants to be in her grandson's life, they better step up and prove it.
You were living with this doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you still bond with Austin?
I tried my best to, Your Honor, as much as I could.
Your Honor, and the 2 years that little boy
I took care of her when she was pregnant.
You took care of her when she was pregnant?
Until she was
8.5 months pregnant. And he calls her and says, "Come down and see me."
Okay,
so
me
she
and my
goes
mom,
down and sees him at 100-degree weather. She's 8.5 months pregnant.
All right, the moment of truth has arrived. The DNA results are in, and the judge announces who baby Austin's father is. But wait, Mr. Word doesn't even stick around to hear the verdict. He just gets up and leaves. Wow, talk about a dramatic exit. But hey, the show must go on.
Mr. Word, you are the father. Oh, he's leaving. There is a problem because I'm not sure, Ms. Lindsay, daughter, if you are standing up for yourself the way that you should in relationships. Every time you get into trouble, your mother has to bail you out.
Ms. Benskin is here because she says her 4-year-old daughter Kensley is Mr. Haskett's kid, but Mr. Haskett is not having it. He claims Ms. Benskin is just a money-hungry liar and that Kensley ain't his. Looks like these two have quite the history, and it's about to get messy in that courtroom.
Ms. Benskin,
Yes, sir.
You have opened your case today because you say the defendant refuses to accept that your 4-year-old daughter Kensley is biologically his. You are here to prove he is her father before he gets locked up for unpaid child support. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Haskett.
Turns out Mr. Haskett is already behind on child support for Kensley to the tune of $7,000 or $8,000, and he's already been to jail for it. Yikes, this guy is really in hot water. Ms. Benskin says she's here to help him out, to get the paternity confirmed so he doesn't end up back in the slammer.
Me back and fill me in on those facts.
Because we had a court date set, and first it had got changed.
It didn't get changed. He didn't show up.
No.
He called in. He did not show up.
That is not how it happened. The first one was rescheduled, and then we had to go again, and then they said that they changed it, and then he rescheduled it.
I wrote him on Facebook.
Now Judge Lake is trying to get to the bottom of this. Apparently Mr. Haskett and Ms. Benskin had a little fling a while back, but it wasn't anything serious. They weren't even using protection, and boom, Kensley came along. But Mr. Haskett is still insisting he's not the father, even though he's already been named the legal dad in court. This guy's memory seems a little fuzzy, huh?
Like he was set in jail. He had bonded out right.
I don't care if my pinky toe stepped foot in jail, I ain't gonna forget it. So were you arrested for failure to pay child support?
No, I had to turn myself in for failure to appear.
Okay, so you had to turn yourself in, and then you went through the process, and then you were bonded out.
Yes.
Things take an even crazier turn when Ms. Benskin's friend, Ms. Scott, chimes in. She claims Mr. Haskett told her that some other guy had been tested and ruled out as the dad, so he must be Kinsley's father. But Ms. Benskin says that's a big fat lie. She never told anyone else was tested. Oof, the plot thickens.
So you went to a party. What was the nature of the relationship in your estimation, Mr. Haskett?
Friendship.
Just a friend?
Yes.
This was not you trying to start a relationship?
It started out to be something different, but...
And Margaret came back into the picture, and he wanted to be back with her, which I understand. They have a daughter together, but doesn't mean he has to push my daughter off to the side.
Okay.
Judge Lake is not impressed with all the back and forth. She grills Ms. Benskin about whether there's any other possible father, and Ms. Benskin swears up and down that Mr. Haskett is the one. But then Judge Lake catches Ms. Benskin in a lie about telling someone else was tested.
How long after this did you realize you were pregnant?
6 weeks and 3 days.
Okay, 6 weeks and 3 days. And at the point you found that out, did you contact Mr. Haskett?
More than once, and I got blocked on Facebook. I called his family members, and they knew everything about it, and they are still in Kinsley's life. He just chooses not to be.
So you've talked to his family members. They accept Kinsley. You told him you were pregnant.
Now Judge Lake is showing a photo of baby Mr. Haskett next to baby Kinsley, and she says the resemblance is uncanny. Ms. Scott seems to disagree, but Judge Lake is convinced these two little ones could be twins. It's getting harder and harder for Mr. Haskett to deny this paternity.
2 months we lived down there. He did not see her, not one time.
This beautiful child is potentially living 3 doors down from her biological father. So, Mr. Haskett, I want to ask you, has there ever been an occasion where you believe or been told that someone else is the child's biological father, or there may be a question of paternity? How did you all get to the place?
I was at the bar.
Finally, the moment of truth arrives. Judge Lake has the DNA results, and she's about to reveal whether Mr. Haskett is Kinsley's dad or not. The tension in the courtroom is palpable as everyone holds their breath. Will Mr. Haskett be proven the father, or will this whole case be turned on its head?
Mr. Haskett, you are the father.
Now how to, so we get to see her, right?
Yeah, I told you guys. You guys went for visitation.
Without you.
We've gotten the answer. Now, as we go forward, we have to do so in a responsible way. This bickering back and forth.
Ms. Percival has been searching for her father her whole life. She says Mr. Hansen is the guy, but he's not having it. He swears up and down that there's no way she's his daughter, even though she claims he's known about her since she was 6 years old. Yikes, talk about a strained relationship.
Ms. Percival, you say for the past 31 years your father has never been willing to accept you as his biological daughter.
Correct, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Hansen, you claim you did not sleep with Ms. Percival's mother, and there is no way she is your daughter.
That's right, Your Honor. She's not my daughter.
But wait, there's more. Turns out there's another woman, Ms. Viel-Pando, who's also claiming Mr. Hansen as the father of her child. And get this, her kid is only a month older than Ms. Percival's. Looks like Mr. Hansen was a busy guy back in the day, huh?
I was with the other woman at the time she was conceived, so there's no way she could be my daughter. I am not her father, Your Honor.
And you seem pretty confident about that.
I guarantee it.
When were you told that he was your father?
When I was 6 years old.
At 6 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
And from that point on, you had in your mind, this is your father.
Now Mr. Hansen is insisting he never cheated on his wife, Ms. Merchant, who's also in the courtroom. But Ms. Viel-Pando is telling a different story, saying she and Mr. Hansen were going back and forth, and he was even calling her mom a whore. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. And
so strongly that he's the father.
I'm not sure why he doubts it, because of the simple fact I was with him, and I told her, we kept going back and forth. We were seeing each other back and forth. And then I had met somebody too, and I was sleeping with him. And then he was going back and forth to Tracy
and then Your Honor,
me.
The day that I met him, what he told me was, there is no way I can be your father when I asked him for the DNA test.
And let's not forget about Ms. Hansen, Mr. Hansen's other daughter, who's also in the mix. Turns out Mr. Hansen has been in and out of her life, and she's felt like she's never been good enough. Man, this family's got some serious issues to work through.
And were you clear with him when you were pregnant, this is your child?
Yes, I did tell him, and he told me no, I wasn't. That
she don't even look like me.
I look like Jessica.
Jessica and I look like Teresa, and Jessica for sure is your kid?
Yeah, Jessica's mine, yeah.
And we look identical.
Did you ever ask him for a DNA test?
No, because I never seen him around.
But the real kicker is when Judge Lake brings in Ms. Merchant, Mr. Hansen's wife. Apparently, she knew all about Ms. Percival and even knew that her daughter, Ms. Hansen, was born just a month after Ms. Percival. Looks like the plot just thickened, folks.
Huh?
Hold on 1 second before you say what you have to say. State your name for the court.
Tracy Merchant.
You're Ms. Merchant, and your name?
I'm Tracy Hansen.
All right. So, Ms. Merchant, you were married to Mr. Hansen.
Yes.
At the time that Ms. Percival was conceived.
Yes, I knew that she was born. I knew she was his when she was born.
Now, Mr. Hansen is trying to backtrack, saying he's only really worried about Ms. Hansen being his kid. But Judge Lake ain't having it. She calls him out for his inconsistencies and makes it clear that he's got to own up to whatever's going on.
You cheated on me.
So, Mr. Hansen,
Yes, Your Honor.
you're also denying that Ms. Hansen is your daughter.
50-50 chance.
Yeah, no.
My wife cheated on me while we were married with
Your
my
Honor.
older brother.
Hold on, let's get some order. Let's get some order.
And I didn't even find this out until 5 years after we were divorced, that rumors were going around that she'd slept with my brother. I confronted my brother and he told me yes, he did.
Judge Lake has heard enough and she's ready to receive the almighty envelope. And when the DNA results finally come in, it's an absolute shocker.
Ms. Hansen, Mr. Hansen, you are her father.
Yeah.
I love you too. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're most certainly welcome. You seem relieved, Mr. Hansen.
Yes, that's the only one I was worried about. I apologize. I don't mean to be inconsiderate or ruthless, but I know the other one's not my daughter. I'm sorry.
Well, 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 looks like we've got ourselves a real mess on our hands here, folks. Miss Bargy, a married woman, found herself caught in a tangled web of deceit, cheating on her husband with her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lawson. Now, the two men are both convinced they're the father of her 2-month-old daughter, McKenna.
Your husband and the man you cheated with, they both think they're your daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't know where else to turn.
All right.
I want her to be a part of her father's life, but right now I don't know who her father is, so I feel horrible about it. I should have fixed my marriage, but instead I ran off and done some things that I shouldn't have.
I understand, and we are not perfect people.
Miss Bargy admitted to Judge Lake that she had an affair with Mr. Lawson while still married to Mr. Bargy. It seems like Miss Bargy was trying to save her marriage, but ended up making a huge mess instead. And now, poor little McKenna is caught in the middle of this paternity triangle.
You admit you cheated on your husband, and now you are caught in a paternity triangle, with both men believing they fathered your 2-month-old daughter, McKenna.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are hoping today's DNA results prove that your husband is her father, so you can save your marriage. Is this correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Bargy,
Yes, sir.
you have fallen in love with McKenna, and you're desperately hoping.
Now Mr. Lawson, the ex-boyfriend, is also convinced he's the father. He was there for the whole pregnancy and even attended the birth, but the timeline is all kinds of messed up, with Miss Bargy giving multiple conception dates and due dates. It's like she's playing some kind of twisted game of guess the baby daddy. Yikes. Talk about a complicated situation.
Tell us how we got here.
I was with my husband. We had been married and we had been having some problems, and then I started talking to Calvin again, and then from there, I had an affair on my husband, and now I'm in a mess to where I do not know who her father is, and this is why we're here today, because I want to find out, because McKenna deserves to know the truth.
Mr. Bargy, the poor husband, was completely blindsided by all of this. He found out about the pregnancy through a mutual friend on Facebook and then had to confront his wife about it. The guy's got grit though, and he's been stepping up as a dad, even though he's not sure if McKenna is his.
For 10 to 12 hours a day, I take 5 minutes out of my time, busy or not at work, video call, sit here like that right there. I wake her up when I get home. And as soon as she hears my voice, she's smiling. And as soon as she hears the car pull in, she knows I'm home.
So that's your baby. In your heart, that's your baby.
That is my baby.
Now Mr. Lawson, the ex-boyfriend, hasn't exactly been the most involved dad. Miss Bargy says she's given him plenty of chances to see McKenna, but he's always making excuses, saying he doesn't have the money or the time.
You reincarnate?
Well, I'm trying to put it into words. We got back together because we have been together on and off for 5 years.
Oh, you reconnect?
Yes.
Okay, and and you started having sex as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where we are now, because the conception dates, I was given 3 different conception dates and 3 different due dates.
Miss Bargy is really feeling the weight of this whole situation. She's hoping and praying that the DNA results will show Mr. Bargy is the father so she can save her marriage and give McKenna a stable, loving home. But you can tell she's torn because she also wants her daughter to have a relationship with her biological dad, whoever that may be.
So it was you, Mr. Bargy, who said, listen, if this story is true, these dates add up to me being McKenna's biological father.
Yes, because there was multiple times that we slept together.
So you, well, wait, I thought you were living with Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
But you were cheating on Mr. Lawson with your husband?
We had slept together one time, and that was due to the fact.
The DNA results are in, and Judge Lake is about to reveal the big news. You can just feel the tension in the air as she reads the envelope. Who's going to be named as McKenna's biological father, Mr. Bargy or Mr. Lawson? Let's find out.
The biological father is Mr. Lawson. You are McKenna's biological father, Mr. Lawson.
That's okay. I'm still going to raise her.
Do you want to be in her life?
Yes, Your Honor.
You do. The fact that he wants to be a part of her life, you guys got to figure this out.
But I won't.
How, Mr. Bargy? Okay. Miss St. James, you claim for the first 33 years of your life, you were a daddy's girl. But just 6 months ago, after an argument, your father dropped a bomb on you and said, you are not my daughter. You and your brother have opened a case to prove paternity today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. St. James recounts how she wrote her father a heartfelt letter expressing her disappointment in his absence from her and her children's lives. His response was nothing short of shattering. He told her she wasn't his biological daughter. This was the first time she ever heard of any paternity doubt.
What happened 6 months ago?
I wrote my dad a letter right before Christmas, a couple weeks before Christmas, just telling him how I felt about him not being in his grandchildren's lives and how he's not being the father that we need since we lost our mother at a young age. And that was his response, is the reason why.
Mr. Esau admits he has always believed Miss St. James wasn't his biological daughter, but never found the right moment to tell her. For 33 years, he kept this secret, causing immense stress and anxiety for Miss St. James when it finally came out. Can you imagine living with such uncertainty?
What happened, Mr. Esau? How did this all start?
6 months ago. It's something that I've always wanted to talk to her about and tell her, and it just never was the right time.
Is it your testimony that for 33 years you have known that Miss St. James was not your biological daughter?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. St. James describes the last 6 months as pure hell. She talks about the daily anxiety, weight loss, and the struggle of raising her autistic son while dealing with this emotional turmoil. Her pain is palpable, and it's heart-wrenching to hear.
Tell the court, what has this 6 months been like?
I've been throwing up every day. I have anxiety. I have stress. I have an autistic son that I'm trying to raise. I've been just, ever since, I can't eat. I'm losing weight. I'm just torn apart. He's just trying to kill me, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna die.
Judge Lake delves into the history between Mr. Esau and Ms. St. James's mother. Their relationship started when they were young, and although there were doubts about the paternity early on, they continued their relationship and even got married. This makes the current revelation even more complicated.
From the beginning, she transferred into the school that I was going to. I seen her that morning, and she looked good. So I'm like, well, everybody's kind of like, wow, who's that? And I asked her if she wanted to go to the party, and she said yes. Picked her up, and we, that's when I first had sex, and it just kind of went on from there.
Ms. St. James's mother and grandmother both had discussions about the timeline of conception, which added to the doubts. Despite these doubts, Mr. Esau continued to be a father figure in Ms. St. James's life. The family dynamics here are incredibly complex.
Her mom found out she was pregnant. Were you told?
She told me yes.
And so take me back to that time.
Basically, she told me she was pregnant, and I'm like, okay. You're 18, you're like, okay, like, wow. You don't really know how to really react, but I was like, okay, wow, she's pregnant. And it wasn't until the doctor told her how far along she was, and doing the math, it was before me.
Ms. St. James's brother, KJ, also shares his perspective, expressing how this revelation feels like an attack on their family, possibly stemming from anger due to past disputes. He emphasizes that he always believed Ms. St. James was his full sister. This adds another layer of emotional complexity to the case.
Through my whole life, I thought that Jasmine was my sister. We were the only ones that came from my mom and him, so that's all I've known, him being my father. So to get this news like this is just, it's hurting as far as, the allegations put upon my mother.
Miss St. James recalls a phony call from her father in 2009 when he hinted at not being her biological father. Although he later retracted the statement, this incident planted a seed of doubt that has now grown into a full-blown crisis. This incident shows how deep-seated these doubts have been.
That Mr. Esau, your father is not your sister's biological father.
Well, my dad did call me one time in 2009. He had a little liquor in him, and he was crying, and he said that Jasmine might not be his.
And what did you say?
I said, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
And then he called him back and told him.
Finally, Judge Lake prepares to read the DNA results. The tension in the courtroom is palpable as everyone awaits the truth. Ms. St. James hopes for clarity and resolution after months of emotional turmoil. The anticipation is at an all-time high as the court prepares to reveal the life-changing results.
Mr. Esau.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are not the father.
Can I give her a hug?
That's better. I can accept it.
And I'm sorry I waited so long. I mean, I've always taken responsibility for talking to her, of not telling her. That was her right to know. And I should have told her, she should have been told a long time ago, not when she's 33 years old.
Mr. Thompson and Miss Taylor's story is one for the books. These two have been through a whirlwind of emotions over the years. Miss Taylor claims that Mr. Thompson is not the father of her 18-year-old daughter, Melinda Turner. But wait, it gets juicier because Mr. Thompson has been searching for Melinda for 14 years, convinced she's his daughter.
Miss Taylor, you are here to prove to your ex, Mr. Thompson, that he is not your 18-year-old daughter's father. You say he's accusing you of disappearing and hiding your daughter, Miss Turner, for 14 years. But you claim you kept her away because you are certain he is not her father.
Miss Taylor starts off by explaining why she kept her daughter away from Mr. Thompson. She mentions that his lifestyle at the time wasn't suitable for her daughter. Also, Miss Taylor's mother had a big say in keeping Mr. Thompson away, and when Miss Taylor came back home, Mr. Thompson had disappeared. Talk about drama.
First off, the lifestyle that Mr. Thompson was living at the time, I really didn't want that for my daughter. And my mother had my daughter while I was going through something. And I spoke with my mother about him coming to see her. And my mother said no, she would let me handle it when I got back.
Mr. Thompson, on the other hand, insists he knew about the pregnancy and was involved in it until Miss Taylor disappeared. He had no clue where she went and no information about the baby. Can you imagine not knowing if your child is a boy or a girl? That's the situation Mr. Thompson was in. It's mind-blowing.
Mr. Thompson, did you know Miss Taylor was pregnant?
Yes.
Were you involved in the pregnancy?
Yes.
You were? In what way?
She was pregnant 3 months. We were still together. And then that's when, she went her way and I went mine. But she just up and disappeared.
So
I moved to another state.
Did you move to another state before or after you had the baby?
After.
Miss Taylor drops a bombshell revealing she was having an affair with a married man before meeting Mr. Thompson. This revelation adds a whole new layer of complexity. She strongly believes the married man could be her daughter's father. And guys, it gets even crazier when she admits to telling her daughter that Mr. Thompson is her father.
During this time, before I met Mr. Thompson, I was having an affair with a married man. And honestly, I didn't know if it was the married man's child or Mr. Thompson's child.
This other man, the man you were dating, you're saying that child was by him?
I have strong feelings that the married man is my daughter's father.
When Melinda Turner finally enters the courtroom, it's emotional. She shares how in 2012, her mother told her Mr. Thompson was her father and they formed a relationship. But just last week, she learned there might be another potential father. Imagine thinking you know who your dad is, only to have that ripped away.
Well, in 2012, my mom informed me that Mr. Thompson was my biological father.
And so I kind of formed a relationship with him from then on.
Before 2012, who did you believe your father was?
I didn't have one.
Melinda expresses how hurtful it was growing up without a father. She missed having both parents at her events and felt the void deeply. You can't help but feel for her. She points out that if her mom wanted to protect her, she should have been honest from the beginning. Miss Taylor acknowledges this and apologizes, but the damage is done.
And then 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, they tell you that may not be, that it's almost like getting ripped from you. What did you feel like in that moment?
I was very hurt because I formed a relationship with Mr. Thompson, and then to hear that there could be another guy. If he's not my father, then I have this relationship with somebody that I don't really even know like that.
Mr. Thompson is heartbroken, as he always believed Melinda was his daughter. He shares how he told his other children that Melinda was their sister. The bond they formed is now hanging in the balance, and guys, you can see how much this is tearing everyone apart.
I think me trying to protect her, what I'm getting from all of this is that I hurt her more than anything. That's what I'm seeing. And I want for my daughter to find whatever peace that she's trying to find.
And I have to come to court to find out who my father is.
Finally, the DNA results are in and the courtroom is tense. Judge Lake is about to read the results, and you can feel the suspense in the air. Will Mr. Thompson be confirmed as Melinda's biological father, or is there another twist in this emotional tale? The stakes couldn't be higher.
Mr. Thompson, you are not her father. I'm so sorry. Miss Taylor, do you know where the man that you say would be the other possibility, do you know where he is?
Yes.
You do?
Ms. Dandridge's story is a heart-wrenching tale of searching for her biological father. After years of uncertainty, she believes she has finally found him. She reveals to Judge Lake that she recently got a name, Joseph Lester Sigmund, and is now ready to meet him for the first time. Talk about nerve-wracking.
You say you were here to determine if you finally found your biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
You believe is that man, though you've never laid eyes on him before.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dandridge shares how she discovered adoption papers when she was just a child. She thought her sister's dad was her father until she stumbled upon the truth. Can you imagine the shock of finding out your dad isn't who you thought he was? Her mother was never forthcoming about her biological father, adding to her confusion.
No, ma'am, I didn't. I was raised to believe that my sister's dad was my dad. I was like around 9 or 12. I was old enough to know how to read. When I found my dad wasn't my dad that I believed was my dad.
You found adoption papers indicating that the man you thought was your father had in fact adopted you.
Yes, ma'am.
Fast forward to a few months ago, Ms. Dandridge posted on Facebook seeking information about her father. The response she got from her mother was anything but pleasant, but she finally received the name, Joseph Lester Sigmund. She created a Facebook page to find him, and within a week, she had 300 followers helping her. Talk about determination.
Roughly 3 months ago, I posted on Facebook, this status may hurt some people's feelings, but I really want to know who my dad is. And my mom, she got on there and told me that I was a liar and that I never asked who my dad was and just threw his name at me. And then after she gave me that name, she told me,
so you got a name?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dandridge connected with a woman named Sabrina who helped her find Mr. Sigmund's family. Though initially, his family told her to look elsewhere, she received a call from a North Carolina number. It was Joseph Sigmund himself, and he confirmed knowing her mother. This was a huge breakthrough.
And messaged me names or family members that could have been related to Joseph Sigmund. A week into my search, a lady named Sabrina messaged me and she says, here, I found his mom and his brother. You should call them to see if that's really who it is.
The moment finally arrives and Mr. Sigmund enters the courtroom. The emotions are high as they meet for the first time. Mr. Sigmund explains his shock because he was told he was sterile. He reminisces about his relationship with Ms. Dandridge's mother in Florida, describing their time together in vivid detail.
Mr. Sigmund, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Oh, that's beautiful.
I cannot believe you're standing in front of my face.
Can you describe for the court your initial reaction?
I was in shock because I was told when I was younger I was sterile, that I couldn't have kids.
Mr. Sigmund admits he was in trouble with the law and had to leave Florida, never knowing about the pregnancy. He expresses doubts about being the father due to his belief in his sterility and the possibility of Ms. Dandridge's mother being with other men. Ms. Dandridge is hoping he is her dad, as she feels a huge void in her life.
So did you ever know that her mother was pregnant?
No, I did not have a clue until she called me and told me. I have doubts because I was told I was sterile. You know, plus sometimes during the weekends she went to her mother's on the weekends.
Mr. Sigmund shares his hopes, stating he never had children and now sees Ms. Dandridge as his new hope. He feels a connection and believes she resembles his family members. The court is about to reveal the DNA results, and you can feel the tension in the air. Will Mr. Sigmund be confirmed as her father? The suspense is killing us.
Mr. Sigmund, what are you hoping for today?
I've never had nothing my whole life. I've never been married.
Your new hope?
Yeah, we're just alike. She looks like my sister. When I was younger, she looks like one of my nieces. She's got my cheekbones, my jaw face, she got my eyes.
The results are prepared and Judge Lake is ready to read them. Ms. Dandridge and Mr. Sigmund are both emotional, anticipating the outcome. Will this be the moment that fills the void in Ms. Dandridge's heart, or will it bring more heartbreak? The stakes are incredibly high.
Let's not wait any longer. Let's go to the results. Jerome, the results, please. Thank you. I know this will be very emotional for you both either way. If you'd like to sit down, Ms. Dandridge. All right. DNA Diagnostics has prepared these results, and they are as follows.
Judge Lake reads the results, and the courtroom holds its breath. What follows is a moment of intense emotion. This case has been a roller coaster of hope and despair, and the final revelation is life-changing. Stay tuned to see how this crazy, devastating moment unfolds on Paternity Court.
Mr. Sigmund, you are not her father. Sit her down, Mr. Sigmund. Just put her down.
Okay.
There's no way I've gone through too much. He was supposed to be my dad.
Ms. Miller and Mr. Rasmussen's case is a heart-wrenching saga of love, betrayal, and uncertainty. Ms. Miller is adamant that Mr. Rasmussen is not the father of her 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee, while Mr. Rasmussen passionately believes he is. This emotional roller coaster starts with Ms. Miller claiming Mr. Rasmussen only wants custody for financial benefits.
Ms. Miller, you're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Scotty Rasmussen, that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you've been in an ongoing court battle over custody and have petitioned the court several times for a DNA test, all of which have been denied.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rasmussen, however, drives 160 miles every other weekend to see Zaylee. He insists that his commitment is about love and not money. Despite their rocky relationship and infidelity, he believes Zaylee is his daughter and has been there since day one. Talk about dedication.
The real reason Ms. Miller is denying you're Zaylee's father is because she hates you. You say you've been there for your daughter her entire life, and you're here today to prove you are Zaylee's father.
Yes, Your Honor. She just doesn't want me to have visitation. I drive 160 miles every other weekend just to pick up my daughter and drop her off.
Ms. Miller argues that Zaylee was conceived while Mr. Rasmussen was in another state. She admits to being with another man during that time. This claim creates a tangled web of doubts and conflicting timelines, making the case even more complicated.
You don't believe he's her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
So explain to me why.
When she was conceived in March of 2011. He wasn't even in the same state. He was in Vegas. And at that time in March, I wasn't even with him. I was with somebody else because he broke up with me.
Mr. Rasmussen recalls being fully involved during the pregnancy and birth. He vividly describes rushing to the hospital through snow-covered roads, beating Ms. Miller there, and being present throughout the birth. His story is filled with passion and commitment. Can you imagine the determination?
I was at the birth. I was at every single doctor's appointment. When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I went up to my manager, my immediate supervisor, said, hey, I gotta go. My girlfriend's in labor. I went home, quickly changed my clothes, and I drove about 45 miles through a winded, wooded road in Wisconsin in December, mind you, so it's about a foot of snow on the ground.
Ms. Miller disputes Mr. Rasmussen's account, stating he was distant and uninvolved. She reveals that the more Zaley grew, the more she saw features of the other man. Despite these doubts, Mr. Rasmussen signed the birth certificate and continued to fight for his rights as a father. This is a case of emotions running high.
How do you remember it?
After she was born, he was gone. He ran out of the room. I didn't see him for 20 minutes after that. While I was in labor, he was sitting on one of those hospital cot beds on his computer in the corner, not paying attention to me, in his own little bubble.
Despite Ms. Miller's doubts, Mr. Rasmussen maintained his involvement, undergoing a strict visitation process. He cherishes every moment with Zaley, making memories despite financial and emotional challenges. His bond with Zaley is undeniable and heartfelt.
I'm not even quite sure. After we broke up, he changed his number, he moved, he pretty much disappeared. I have tried to find him, I have tried to get a hold of him, and I can't find him.
But you keep saying Mr. Rasmussen cheated, he did this, he did that. And as wrong as that may be, you also slept with somebody else.
We weren't even dating.
Judge Lake questions why Ms. Miller kept the potential paternity issue a secret for so long. Ms. Miller admits noticing more features of the other man as Zaley grew. This revelation leads to a tense moment as both parties confront the harsh realities of their situation. Drama unfolds.
Why was it that you were keeping this information so close to your hip until 5-6 months after Zaley was born?
The more she grew up, the more I started noticing more of her features, the more she started looking like the other guy.
She looks exactly like I did when I was 3 years old. I have a picture of me when I was 3 and a picture of her from just the other day.
Let me see that.
The moment of truth arrives as Judge Lake prepares to read the DNA results. The tension in the courtroom is palpable. Mr. Rasmussen expresses his hope and fear, knowing that the results will change his life forever. The anticipation is almost unbearable.
So, Mr. Rasmussen, let me ask you, are you prepared? Have you prepared yourself either way? If this child is my biological child or if she isn't, have you thought about both alternatives?
In a sense, yes. If it goes the way I'm hoping and I know in my heart that it will, that she is mine.
As Judge Lake opens the envelope, the stakes couldn't be higher. The entire courtroom holds its breath, waiting for the life-changing revelation. The episode ends with an emotional climax, leaving everyone on the edge of their seats. What a dramatic conclusion.
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you. What you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child. What you cheering for? Ms. Nesbitt, you are suing to prove to Mr. Henderson that he is the father of your 7-month-old daughter, Zian.
Yes, Your Honor.
The accuser says her man doesn't take enough responsibility for their newborn, but he takes care of their 2-year-old son. However, he knows their older child isn't biologically his. But why take care of a child that isn't biologically yours, but neglect your responsibilities on a child that's biologically yours? Let's solve this puzzle together.
What has Mr. Henderson done so far for Zian?
Well, he buy her diapers, that's about it. He doesn't do anything for my child, but buy her diapers. He does more for my 2-year-old son that he knows that's not his, than his own daughter.
Really?
As the hearing continues, Mr. Henderson says he was at the hospital during the doctor's appointments and on the day of the child's delivery. Good for you, Mr. Henderson. We have seen a lot of crazy men in this court, and many of them do not even bother to turn up to their child's delivery.
Could have been mine, but she's not, so I felt kind of hurt. So
there's a level of resentment there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So what's your relationship like with Zian? Were you there through the doctor's appointments, birth?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were?
Yes, Your Honor.
You know that's your child. You've been knowing from the beginning. You signed the birth certificate.
Miss Nesbitt, however, cuts in saying he signed the birth certificate without her consent. She adds that she had told him a while before she gave birth that the baby might not be his. Also, he lied to his father about getting a DNA test at the hospital when he didn't. Just lies, lies, and more lies. But we are determined to get to the bottom of this case.
You even snuck down the stairs and signed it without my permission. You know the baby yours.
Yes, I did because
He did what, Miss Nesbitt?
I went downstairs to go get my birth certificate and his name was on there. I told him not to put his name on there because I had doubts from the beginning, but he snuck anyways and signed his name on there.
Oh, so wait, you had asked him previously not to sign it.
Mr. Henderson defends himself, saying he lied to his father because he didn't want him to interfere with his business. Again, Miss Nesbitt cuts in, saying the defendant told her he signed the birth certificate because she wants custody of the baby. To justify his actions, the young man says he signed the birth certificate because he was trying to convince himself that he's the baby's father.
Well, honestly, Your Honor, because I didn't want him all in my business.
Oh, Your Honor, that's a lie. He's not the birth certificate. He told me that he's not the birth certificate so he can have rights of the baby, so he can get custody of the baby.
Well, listen, you understand when you sign a birth certificate at a hospital, you are acknowledging paternity legally.
Answering Judge Lauren's question, the defendant says he has doubts because the accuser had a habit of telling him the baby isn't his after she was born. One night, he came home drunk and she angrily admitted that the child wasn't his and could be their neighbor's. That is why you don't get too drunk, because you might find yourself in paternity court.
This not your baby, LaDon. Like one time
After Zion was born?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I came in the house one night drunk. I don't know if she was mad at me or not. She probably could have said it out of spite because I came in late. But I come in, she get the argument, oh, she's not yours, that's why she's not your baby.
Miss Nesbitt says Mr. Henderson slept with his cousin. They had a baby together, and that makes her feel vulnerable. Surprisingly, he admits he slept with his cousin, but it was before their relationship began. Continuing her statement, the accuser says she had unprotected sex with her man for a year prior to the pregnancy. However, she has doubts if the child is his because she slept with Mr. Brown 2 weeks before she got pregnant.
Certificate.
Yes, I had doubts.
What were your doubts specifically?
Well, let me tell you how it all began. He had sex with his cousin, and I felt very vulnerable about it. And you know.
Yes, I did, but that was before her. She already knew about that.
Okay.
Yes, let me tell you how
Proceed.
You know, I received the inbox telling me.
Apparently, the lady had sex with the neighbor because he comforted her after she got into an argument with Mr. Henderson. He gave her a nice leg massage, and that led to sexual intercourse. Although it happened once, it makes her have doubts about the baby's biological father.
Henderson, we got into an argument, and it led in my apartment hallway, and Mr. Brown seen, so he came to my door, he comforted me, and it led off to him coming in, giving me a massage, and led off to me, and it led off more than just the massage.
One night?
Yes, one night. And 2 weeks later, I ended up pregnant, and I told Mr. Henderson.
Now, both men believe they are not responsible for the child's paternity and are eager to hear Judge Lauren read out the DNA test results. We have heard the testimonies from both parties, and I have got to say, this is really one thorny issue. The only way to solve it is to get the paternity test results.
Mr. Brown or Mr. Henderson is her biological father. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are not her father.
Oh!
Okay, sit down, Mr. Brown. We don't. Mr. Henderson, you are her father.
Told you was her father from the beginning.
Are you happy?
Mr. Webb claims Mrs. Forrest, the defendant, left him for dead while he was in a coma. However, getting out of coma, he discovers that she has a 2-year-old girl that is possibly his or her husband's. Mrs. Forrest is certain the baby is her husband's, who's also present in court. Is she right? Let's dig in.
Mr. Webb, you have been waiting 2 years for this day. You claim the defendant, Mrs. Forrest, left you for dead only to find out once you got out of a coma that she was pregnant and that the baby could be yours or her husband's.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says she met Mr. Webb through a friend when Mr. Forrest was in trouble. Along the line, she left her husband for the accuser and they had unprotected sex countless times. Towards the end of their relationship, Mr. Webb was hospitalized and he found out she was pregnant through his aunt. Also, he says she called him while he was on his way to Illinois with his dad and told him about the possibility of the child being his.
We hit it off and then I ended up leaving Mr. Forrest for Mr. Webb.
So you began a sexual relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and were you using protection at the time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Webb, what is your take on this?
It didn't happen like that at first. Yes, we was in love.
Continuing his statement, the accuser says the defendant cultivated the habit of coming home late from work and unexplainable spending. That means she was seeing other men besides her husband. What do you think? Do you think Mrs. Forrest was seeing someone else? Well, let's find out.
And some of her check would be coming up missing every time she would get paid.
No.
And so what did you suspect? Because something was missing out of her check?
She would get off at 10 o'clock. It would take at least 15 minutes to get home, but she would come in at 11 to 11:30.
Mrs. Forrest denies the accusations and her husband backs her on. It's so rare to see such displays of loyalty in paternity court because husbands are usually not backing their wives in front of Judge Lake. Perhaps he's backing her because she was with him when she was meant to go home after work. There's only one way to find out.
Missing time and missing money.
Yes, Your
Where
Honor.
she was MIA.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
From where she worked at, and I know for a fact it took 45 minutes to get from her work
And at the-
No, Your
to
Honor.
the house.
That's a lie.
And at the time,
No, Your Honor.
Because when I moved back,
So, Ms. Forrest, let me just ask you point blank. Were you sleeping with anyone else besides Mr. Webb and your husband?
Mr. Webb continues his statement saying Mrs. Forrest left him to be with Mr. Forrest while he was fighting for his life in the hospital. She dropped his belongings off at the hospital, and he found out through a letter from his mom. He claims he had no idea they had broken up at that time, but the defendant and her husband argued that his claims are false.
A letter from my mom where I was on life support when she came to drop off my stuff.
which we were already
she had
broken
moved
up by
into
then.
a hotel with Mr.
This is
Forrest.
evidence you'd like me to see?
This is a
Jerome,
my
will you
mom's
hand that to me,
statement.
please?
they broke up like 3 days.
According to Mr. Forrest, he and his wife got back together 3 days before Mr. Webb was placed on life support in the hospital. Mrs. Forrest claims she loved the accuser and tried to see him while he was hospitalized, but his mom wouldn't allow her. Isn't that hilarious? If she truly loved him like she claims, would she leave him the moment he needed her the most to be with another man?
By getting back together. Well, after they done broke up like 3 days before he ever went to the hospital.
No, Your Honor.
Bottom line is, he's in the bed on life support, and now you have reconciled with your husband.
Yes, Your Honor, but I tried to see him. His mother would not let me see him.
I'm sure there were some feelings because you had gotten back with your husband while he's fighting for his life.
It appears that Mrs. Forrest had unprotected sex with Mr. Webb on 25th of August before he went into health support. Also, she had unprotected sex with her husband on the 26th of the same month. Yeah, you heard that right. How can be so sure the baby is her husband's and not her ex-lover? We have a real dilemma in our hands. Let's get to the bottom together.
My daughter was born on May 9th of 2013.
Okay.
And then you take it back 9 months later, that takes it to the week of August 26th through August 31st.
August 26th through August 31st. You were sleeping with
just my husband.
The thing about it, Your Honor, is
Mr. Webb breaks into tears when explaining that she never allowed him to meet the baby, even though she told his family online that she could be his. He says there was a time she agreed to meet him with the baby, and he used his last $80 to fuel his car to meet them. However, when they were meant to meet, she changed her number and blocked him on Facebook.
whenever she told me that I could meet Elena, I spent the last $80 I had to put in gas. She had backed out, changed her phone number, and blocked me on Facebook. 3 weeks later,
And that's like
I
every
moved
number
back
I
to
get from you,
Tennessee
it's always
and tried to
changed.
contact her to meet Elena.
It's difficult to tell who the baby's biological father is at this point due to the proximity of the days her mother had sex with both men. Hearing Judge Lauren read out the DNA test results is the only way to find out, and she has those answers that could put this case to bed. Let's get to it and find out the truth about this matter.
as to whether her biological father is Mr. Webb or Mr. Forrest. It has been determined by this court that her biological father is Mr. Webb.
Mr. Harper claims he's in financial trouble because he has been paying child support for a kid that isn't his. That's horrible if true. It is really difficult imagining a worse thing than being bankrupt for a child that isn't yours. We are soon going to find out if the young man is his son or not.
Mr. Harper, you say you are in financial shambles because you've been stuck paying support for a child you know is not yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you claim previous courts have denied your request for DNA testing because you allegedly signed an acknowledgement of paternity.
Yes, Your Honor.
Previous courts have denied him the rights to a DNA because he signed an acknowledgement of paternity. Today, he claims he has proof that he didn't sign those documents. Maybe there was really some strange hanky-panky at those courts. Let's find out if his proof is legitimate enough to back his claims.
You now claim to have evidence to prove you never signed that document.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Harper, you and your son, Mac Jr., claim Mr. Harper is denying paternity as an excuse for being a deadbeat father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Also, before the judge, Mrs. Harper and Mac Jr., her son, say the accuser is denying paternity as an excuse for being a disreputable father. Is this a case of a deadbeat father or an unfortunate man? As you know, in paternity court, it's often a case of both. There are very few saints here in this court, that is for sure. Anyway, let's find answers.
All right, so Mr. Harper, Sr., explain to me, how have you been affected by all of this?
Your Honor, I have been affected by this by first worse, ending up in jail for 21 days.
Really?
Once questioned by the judge, Mr. Harper says he was wrongly locked behind bars for 21 days for being behind on $500 child support. He says the police came to his house and arrested him wrongly when he didn't even know he was meant to pay child support. Such a sad story, and now his freedom is in danger of being stripped from him because of this case.
You spent 21 days in jail because of failure to pay support, or you gotten behind?
Yes, I had gotten behind in my child support. The police came to my house one day, knocked on my door, and told me that I was behind in child support. At that time, I didn't even know I was supposed to be paying child support.
According to his statement, he was arrested without receiving a letter or notice before the arrest was made. And since then, he's been working hard to meet up with the child support. And we all know how difficult it can be to keep up with child support payments. Well, we may not all know, but Mr. Harper definitely knows for sure.
You never received a letter?
I never received a letter.
A notice?
Nothing, Your Honor. They came, locked me up. I went to court. They asked me if I could pay the money what I needed for court at that time, what they were saying that I was behind in.
How much did they say you were behind?
At that time, I think I might have been like $500 behind.
All right.
In child support.
However, Mrs. Harper says she was told the accuser is owing approximately $24,000 in her son's child support. Now that's a lot to take in if you have doubts of being the biological father to the child in question. But why does he doubt being Mark's biological father? Perhaps we will find out soon enough.
A story, because when they sent me a letter, they told me he was $25,000 behind.
So you're saying you've gotten a letter that says now he's upwards of $25,000 behind in support?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's either $23,000 or $25,000, somewhere like that.
Mr. Harper claims he has doubts about his alleged son's paternity because his family and friends told him his woman wasn't faithful to him. He adds more gasoline to the fire when he says someone tipped him off over the phone that she slept with one of his family members. Now that's interesting.
Doubts that Junior is mine, all because of the fact that back when me and his mother were, Miss Myrtle, were together, I have family and friends that told me that she had been messing around with other men behind my back. Whenever I would go to work.
Your Honor, that's not true. That's not true.
Judge Lauren calls the accuser's attention to a paternity acknowledgement he signed, but he says it's not his. As it turns out, Mrs. Harper gave birth to Mark Jr. at home and went to the hospital afterwards. She claims the accuser was also at the hospital after she got there, and he signed the birth certificate. Also, the defendant claims she alone witnessed him sign it. This is confusing, but we'll get to the bottom.
You say you didn't sign that?
No, Your Honor. Whenever I got out there to the hospital, after she had him, because she had him at home.
You had Mac Jr. at home, Miss Harper?
Yes, Your Honor, but Mr. Senior came to the hospital, took pictures.
Mr. Harper admits he was at the hospital after Junior's mom took herself and the baby for checkups moments after the delivery. When he got there, he intended to sign the birth certificate, but Mrs. Harper said the doctors had to get the paperwork done before he got to the hospital so they could leave as soon as he came. Perhaps she signed it before he got to the hospital because they were legally married.
To see the baby after it was born.
I came there to the hospital to pick them up when they got ready to leave the hospital, because by being a home birth, when she got to the hospital, they checked the baby out. She called me like about 11 o'clock and was like, they're ready for us to come home. And so I was like, okay, I'll be over there after a while because I know I got to sign the birth certificate.
When asked about his opinion on the matter at hand, Mark Jr. says his father used to come pick him up over the weekend, but at one point he stopped. But the accuser says he stopped coming to pick him up because his mother and her boyfriend stopped him from coming. Wow, things are really starting to pick up here.
And he used to come pick me up when he was driving the cab. He used to come pick me up every weekend, and then all of a sudden he just stopped.
I stopped coming to get you, Junior, because of the fact that your mama and her boyfriend told me to stop coming to their house.
How can we get to the bottom of this case without hearing the judge read the DNA results? Not a chance. It's a classic crazy paternity drama here. And with all classic paternity court dramas like this, you just know that the DNA results are going to be very shocking. Hang on, because let's dig in.
Mr. Harper Sr., you are his father.
All right.
Now, will you please step up and be a dad to your son?
Yes, I will, if he'll allow me. If he'll allow me to, I'll be there for him.
You now have confirmed that he's in fact your biological father.
Today's court case is a father versus daughter situation. Miss Donna Alston appears before the court to prove to Mr. Holmes that he's her biological father. However, the defendant says he's not her daddy and that Mr. Alston, whose name is on the birth certificate, is her father. Let's dive in and get to the bottom of this crazy case.
Ms. Alston, you've come to court to prove to the defendant, Mr. Holmes, whom you first met at the age of 15, that you are his biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Holmes, you say there's no way she's your child, and today the DNA will prove your case.
The accuser begins her statement saying her mom and Mr. Alston were married and they had 7 kids alongside her, so she grew up looking at him as a father figure. There are so many cases like this on paternity court, and they usually end so sadly because of age-long secrets. Let's just hope this one doesn't.
Well, Mr. Alston and my mom were married, so as a child, it all started there. I grew up in a home with my mom with my 7 siblings. So one summer I was going outside to play, and my mom was outside talking to a guy, and when I walked up, he was like, tell her.
But one day, while she was outside playing, her mom introduced a young man whom she had never met before that time to her as her uncle. Also, she met her kid brother, her grandmother, and the rest of the family, and they all accepted her like they knew each other a long time ago. Perhaps it's because blood is thicker than water. Well, let's not jump into conclusions yet.
And she looked at me and said, this is your uncle. This is your dad's brother. So I proceeded to meet the family, which is my younger brother, my grandmother, aunts and uncles, and they embraced me like if they knew me from day one. So I have always assumed that Mr. Alston was my dad.
She continues saying she always assumed Mr. Alston was her dad because his name is on her birth certificate. However, when she clocked 15, her mom told her there's a possibility that Mr. Holmes might be her father. Perhaps if her mother were alive, she could shed more light on the matter.
But at 15, she told me that Mr. Holmes can be my dad. He's always been a father figure to me since from day one, even with the doubt.
Mr. Holmes, you don't believe she's your biological child?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
When asked about his thoughts on his alleged daughter's statement, the defendant says he met her mother while she was in high school. They had sex 2 days after they met, and that went on without feelings attached. Hence, he doesn't believe he's her father. Also, he says he knew nothing about Miss Alston's mother, not until 15 years later when he found out she had a baby.
Because Miss Alston's mother, back in the day, she was like fat. And because I met her at the school bus stop. She was in high school. And 2 days later after I met her, I had sex with her. I called her again.
Mr. Holmes claims he accepted her because he knows what it's like to grow up without a father, but he admits that he didn't put his all into it because of the way he met her mom and his lifestyle. Miss Alston's words are clearly not enough to convince the man she claims to be her biological father, but we know what would be enough: a DNA test.
Of her.
I accepted her because I know how it feels to not have a father, but I didn't really put my all into it because, like, the way I met her mother and the lifestyle that I was already living.
As the hearing continues, the accuser says it felt wonderful when she met Mr. Holmes because she had abandonment issues. Meeting him made her feel what it's like to have a dad. But she's unhappy with Mr. Alston because he abandoned her, and we can all empathize with that feeling. It is definitely not easy dealing with abandonment.
Actually a good feeling for the kid in me because I've always wanted a dad. So it's actually great. I have abandonment issues from Mr. Alston, so it actually felt like I had a father who wants to love me for me. So it felt wonderful.
So
Mr. Holmes's mother steps to the podium to testify that the late Mrs. Alston came to her first to inform her that Miss Donna is her granddaughter. Once she heard that, she believed her story and told her son about it. However, she failed to mention that there's a possibility that other men could be her biological father too.
What do you have to add to this situation? What do you know about what's going on here?
Well, her mother came to me first, son's child. So I told John, I said, John, Donna is my grandchild.
And when her mother told you this, did she say or...
In addition to her statement, her son says it felt weird to find out he has a daughter 15 years after she was born. To him, he felt like he was being set up. Well, no one can blame him for feeling that way. That's just the way things go on paternity court. Judge Lake uncovers truths and you get to feel their impact.
And when I found out after 15 years, like, it's like, hold up, what's somebody set me up being funny or something?
2 months, 3 months, you ever been there when any of them were born?
With all my kids, with all of them, I got 7. with all my kids.
Wow.
I mean, it's like I'm being set up, you know what I'm saying? Or
Once Mr. Alston is invited to the courtroom to testify, he acknowledges that Miss Donna is his daughter. However, the young woman says although he claims she's her daughter, he's never treated her like she's his. His response is that she's mad at him because he remarried, and whenever she called him, it was always about money. If he couldn't give her money, he got disrespected. Now is Miss Alston having daddy issues or money issues?
Your daughter?
Yes, that's my daughter. There's no way in the world I would not think that.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
That's my daughter.
He calls me his daughter sitting here, but he's never been a dad to me. He's never been a dad. I don't recall no phone calls.
But she says she tried to have a relationship.
It seemed like all that. That's when the anger started coming through.
Apparently, Mr. Alston believes Donna is his, but she thinks Mr. Holmes is her father. However, Mr. Holmes doesn't think he is. This is one hell of a crazy paternity court drama. The only way to find out who the accuser's real father is through a DNA test. Let's find out the test results together.
You are not Miss Alston's father. Mr. Alston, you are not Miss Alston's father.
Why she do that? Lord have mercy.
Always believed you were the biological father of the defendant's daughter, Jaira Lever. You have loved her and taken care of her, but now the defendant is denying you are Jaira's dad. You are hoping today's results prove your case. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lever, you say you are positive the plaintiff is not your daughter's biological father and plan to prove it in court today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court buzzes with whispers as Mr. Brown makes his bold entrance. His eyes, filled with a mixture of hope and defiance, scan the room for any sign of doubt. I am Jaira's father, he asserts, his voice echoing through the hushed courtroom.
Fed her, bathed her, clothed her, taken her to our doctor's appointments. I mean, when Mom couldn't be there, I was there. And although she cheated, I know for a fact that Jaira is my daughter. She looks like all of my children.
And Ms. Lever, you say even though he loves your little girl, he is not her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
But Ms. Lever is ready to fight back. With a scoff, she throws a look that could shatter glass. Mr. Brown was nowhere to be seen when Jaira needed a father, she states, her tone icy and sharp. The crowd murmurs in anticipation of the drama unfolding.
Also, my ex was also dealing with the same crisis. And so during that time, we bonded and we kind of rekindled things, and that's the time in which Jaira was conceived.
April 2011, you were dealing with a sick family member.
Yes, ma'am.
And the next part of this exhibit says July 2011, what was going on?
My ex and I, we were intimate at the hospital during that time.
At the hospital?
Your Honor, I've been there in spirit, and I've sent support from day one, Mr. Brown exclaims, his frustration mounting. He recounts tales of secret gifts and unacknowledged birthday cards, painting a picture of a man trying to connect with a daughter kept just out of reach.
To pop fireworks with my nieces and nephews. Miss Lever and I were sitting out on the back watching them. One thing led to another. We ended up on the inside of the house by the back door on the floor. This was July 4th of 2011.
And you remember that specifically?
Yes, ma'am. She does too.
And Miss Lever?
Yes, ma'am. That did
you
his
say,
father.
But Ms. Lever says she was having sex with her ex inside the hospital.
Ms. Lever shakes her head, disbelief written all over her face. Spirit doesn't change diapers or dry tears at night, she retorts. The courtroom's tension thickens, the audience glued to every word of this heart-wrenching dispute.
You said you object?
Yes, ma'am. This is a mess, but he is not her father, and I told him that from day one. This has been a mess, and I told Mr. Brown that he was not her father because, this is my ex, And when I end up getting pregnant, I felt like it was my right to tell him so that he can move forward.
The plot thickens, a surprise comes forward. Jaira's birth certificate, which has some crucial information. Mr. Brown might not be the saint he claims to be, she whispers into the microphone. Her words a sizzling fuse in the powder keg of the courtroom.
Jaira and my relationship.
Are you on Genesis' birth certificate listed as father?
No.
I thought I was on Jaira, so I don't even know.
He ain't on neither one of them.
Do you have a copy of Genesis' birth certificate?
I'm not putting him on her. He can't financially do nothing for her. So what am I putting his name on there for?
And so wait a minute. As I look at this birth certificate, Genesis, Summer, Lyric, Brown, Lever.
And Jaira's supposed to be the opposite.
That's what you want.
Mr. Brown stands firm, unshaken. He says he may not be perfect, but his love is true, and his feelings are genuine. His voice breaks with emotion. Everyone starts to feel really bad for him. The judge looks on, the weight of the moment palpable in her expression.
And she's screaming for you to leave.
You know when she screams for me to leave, Your Honor? When I'm not working.
You ain't never working.
Your Honor.
So who works in this family?
Nobody. She don't work. She ain't never worked.
I get state assistance.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you are the man and you living in my house and you need to work or leave.
Just as the audience thinks they've seen it all, the DNA results are brought in with a solemn procession. These results will change everything, the judge announces, her voice steady, but charged with the gravity of the impending revelation.
You're going to lose your standing. She won't answer your call.
He's a liar.
Listen. There is a valid point to what he's saying. However, if it is determined today that these are his biological children, then he can go back to your home state, petition so he can be added to the birth certificate as the father, and then you would have legal rights to see these children.
The envelope is opened. The moment of truth. Mr. Brown holds his breath, his future with his daughter hanging by a thread. Ms. Lever watches, her face a mask of stoic fear. In the case of Jaira, the judge begins, her voice echoing off the walls.
Mr. Brown, you are the father. That's your little girl. Now, with respect to Jaira, Ms. Lever, you say he is not the biological father. Mr. Brown, you say you are.
Ms. Lever's cold demeanor finally cracks when the judge asks, "How will this verdict affect your family?" Tears well up in her eyes as she looks towards Jaira, who sits quietly, unaware of the life-altering words about to be spoken.
Mr. Brown, you are not the father. This is overwhelming. Ms. Lever, what is it you're feeling in this moment?
My daughter has a bond with him. She loves him. They love him. But this is just not healthy, you know?
The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as Ms. Holshoe steps up, her voice trembling with emotion. She asserts that Mr. Howard, despite the denials, is undoubtedly her father. The Howard sisters watch with scorn, disbelief etched across their faces.
Ms. Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Ms. Howard, you and your sisters say Ms. Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family and ruined your home.
Ms. Howard interjects, her words sharp as knives, declaring Ms. Holshoe a destroyer of homes. The audience gasps as she recounts the tales of a promiscuous past that supposedly led to her family's ruin.
After I found out that he was my father, and the only reason I'm even wanting to know that he is my father is because I've recently learned that I have terminal cancer, and I'd like to have family history, and I also, which I know they don't want to, but I would also like to have some sort of information from them about him.
When did you first find out?
Ms. Holshoe fights back tears, explaining how her mother's relationship with Mr. Howard was no secret to her, revealed through whispers and an obituary listing her as his daughter. The tension in the room rises as the judge looks on, pondering the gravity of familial bonds and secrets.
One time when I was 19 years old, my dad, he was in from California. My parents were already divorced. We were in from California. He had us all meet him out at an old country bar. We showed up, and her mother was there. And I'm talking,
You're saying that person?
Yes.
Okay.
They were there, and after about a half hour, we had some drinks and stuff, and my dad...
I don't even remember that.
Suddenly, Ms. Howard drops a bombshell. She knew about the whole situation, but chose not to believe this allegation. And the source was her own husband. The courtroom falls silent, the weight of her revelation hanging heavy in the air.
Why don't you believe it?
I don't want to speak ill, but I mean, my dad he's dead. Her mother has passed away. It's obvious my dad messed around on my mom. It wasn't just her mother.
Exactly.
It was never just
I
her
agree
mother.
with that one.
And I have heard many things that say the same thing about her mother.
Okay, so what you're saying is he said that, but you felt like you had information that suggested her mother.
Kelly, another Howard sister, takes the stand, her voice hesitant. She shares a memory of a rare family gathering, a secret meeting that might just prove Ms. Holshoe's claims. The plot plot thickens as suspicions deepen.
Mr. Howard were childhood sweethearts. Okay, my mother didn't have me until she was 20 days before she turned 21. And she was married to the same man all that time.
So what you're saying is your mom married very young.
Yes.
But she and Mr. Howard, the deceased, their father,
yes,
they were still in a relationship because they were childhood sweethearts.
They were in and out of a relationship.
Accusations fly as the Howard sisters challenge Kelly's account. They argue, voices raised, that their father would never acknowledge someone so controversial, not publicly. The family drama unfolds like a Shakespearean tragedy.
She just needs a family, Your Honor, because her whole family, she's shut out. They've shut her out because she's such a devil.
About that moment when you were informed or your father told you.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, and he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Okay, I had met several of them before.
Thought you said you're 17.
No big deal.
The judge calls for order, her voice stern. She questions the validity of the obituary and the alleged family secrets. Every eye in the courtroom is fixed on the unfolding drama, wondering if these pieces fit into a larger, untold story.
That's up to her what she does.
I still speak with Kelly on a daily basis, as I do with my other sisters.
Right.
I just am tired of hearing about this.
Your Honor, Mr. Howard invited me to a Howard family reunion.
Lies. That is a total lie.
It was at Guilford Lake.
That is a total lie.
Because you know where it was doesn't mean you were invited.
There was never a family reunion at Guilford Lake.
It was not at Guilford Lake.
Ms. Holshoe speaks of a childhood filled with whispers and sideways glances, her voice breaking as she recounts her isolated upbringing shadowed by stigma. The Howard sisters shake their heads, their expressions a mix of disbelief and anger.
Your Honor, I hope that it's true that he is my father, but if he's not,
that'd be happy days.
They both lied to me, him and my mother.
I don't think
Did they teach you well?
They don't know. They don't know. They don't do DNA with their eyeballs.
Do you all want to get these results?
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
You all want to sit down?
Yes. Finally.
As the judge prepares to deliver the verdict, the air thick with anticipation, everyone holds their breath. This decision might just rewrite a family's history or validate a lifetime of whispered doubts.
That the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%.
Sorry.
She knows, Your Honor, but it doesn't make a difference.
I'm glad she knows too.
The courtroom's tense silence breaks as Ms. Reeves steps up, her eyes locked on Mr. Silva. She's here to prove that Mr. Silva is indeed the father of her 7-month-old son, Legend. The stakes are high, and the atmosphere is charged with anticipation.
Ms. Reeves, you are here today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Silva, is the biological father of your 7-month-old son, Legend. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Silva, you were involved in a paternity case on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta in support of your sister, who took a DNA test to prove paternity of her child. You now stand here in court with your own case.
Mr. Silva stands defiant, denying all claims of paternity. He argues, his voice loud and firm, claiming there's no way he could be the father. The crowd murmurs, hanging on every word as the drama unfolds.
So you believe he's projecting his unfaithfulness onto you?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you doing that, Mr. Silva? Do you have any
Your
reason
Honor.
to believe Ms. Reeves has not been faithful? You basically said in so many words that you believe it's okay for men to go outside of the relationship to cheat, but not okay for women to do the same.
Yes, Your Honor.
You aren't the only man that feels like that.
As the judge calls for order, Ms. Reeves recounts their turbulent relationship. She's tearful, her voice breaking as she describes how the constant doubt has eroded their bond. Mr. Silva listens, his face a mask of stoicism.
I have to hide when every single time I turn around, it's another female texting my phone like, oh, I was just dating I was just dating your boyfriend. Your boyfriend is my boyfriend. That's our boyfriend. Like, what you mean?
Wait,
That's
what?
my boyfriend.
Our boyfriend?
Our boyfriend. The fact that you can allow another female to talk to me in that way, you know what I'm saying? And I asked him about it over and over and over and over again. What are you talking about? You're delusional.
The tension ratchets as Ms. Reeves reveals messages from Mr. Silva that contradict his public denials. The evidence is damning. The courtroom buzzes. Is this the proof that will tip the scales? Will it reveal the truth about this whole situation?
On her Snapchat, she's turning up, getting lit, you know, with men, you know, drinking, smoking. So how do you expect me to believe that you've been gone for 3-4 weeks, then come back to me telling me you're pregnant?
And how pregnant did she say she was when she told you?
I mean, I'm not
I was
exactly.
like 3 months pregnant when I found out.
So in your mind, regardless of what you were doing for that month that you all were broken up,
Mr. Silva retorts, his rebuttal sharp. He accuses Ms. Reeves of deceit, insisting his actions were justified. The judge watches closely, the weight of the decision looming large over the courtroom. The courtroom is fixated on this back and forth.
protection for her, you go ahead and execute the birth certificate without really understanding the legal ramifications of that.
Yes, Your Honor. It's my first child, my first rodeo. I didn't understand how to.
And there was nobody from your family with you?
Nobody. I was there. I flew out of Florida to come to Alabama just for the birth.
But now Legend is 7 months old.
And I've been there.
Since day one.
Since day one.
More details keep coming out about the relationship between the two, and it is very obvious they were not a good match in the first place. Mr. Silva's allies defend his reputation, but the air is thick with doubt. Who is really lying here about the cheating?
You know, if she was out there doing whatever, then I'm out here doing whatever. And so I'm not no dummy. You're not gonna play me. You know what I mean?
Well, you played me first. You started the whole thing. If it wasn't for you cheating, if it wasn't for you talking to different people, we wouldn't even be here right now. None of this stuff would even happen. I just feel a little hurt, you know what I mean? Because, like, we have a beautiful baby together. And I don't want him to grow up feeling like, oh, my daddy didn't even think that I was his.
The pivotal moment arrives as the DNA results are presented. The judge opens the envelope. The room falls deathly silent, awaiting the verdict that will change lives forever. The result has the possibility to change everything about these people.
Mr. Silva, you are the father. You are the father.
That's all I needed to know, Your Honor. Now, I'm sorry, and you know, I did have my doubt with Legend, but I know that he's my son, and I would truly, fully love him. And I want us to move on in our relationship.
Mr. Silva, you are the father. The judge's voice echoes through the courtroom. Ms. Reeves breaks down in tears, a mix of relief and sorrow, while Mr. Silva stands stunned, his previous certainty shattered.
If you don't change the way you operate, Mr. Silva, you are going to continue to negatively affect this woman's spirit, which ultimately negatively affects your child's well-being. But Ms. Reeves, you have a choice as well. You do not have to tolerate a man continuously cheating on you. And there's a saying that you teach people how to treat you.
All eyes on Mr. Butterfield as he strides into the courtroom, confidence wavering as he faces Ms. Bracknell and her new life with Mr. Dallas. Is he the father or just a ghost from the past trying to stir trouble?
To paternity court to prove that you are the father of her 2-month-old daughter, Cara. You say she's denying you are Cara's dad because she's worried her family will be torn apart when the results prove you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bracknell, you say there's no way Mr. Butterfield is your child's father. The only reason why he's doing this is to break up the family you now have with your fiance.
Tension mounts as Mr. Butterfield recounts their past love, their shared home, and the mysterious parting gift Ms. Bracknell left him, a child. The courtroom gasps at the revelation, each person hanging on to his every word.
Make me out to be the jerk, whatever. I'm here today.
Now?
You don't want to be here.
So, Ms. Bracknell, you were previously in a relationship with Mr. Butterfield.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then you went back in a relationship with Mr. Dallas.
Yes.
And you have 3 other children together.
Yes, we do.
Now, when you left Mr. Butterfield and went back to Mr. Dallas, you were pregnant at that time.
Ms. Bracknell's defense strikes back, denying all allegations. She claims Mr. Butterfield is delusional, trying to shatter her stable family life with Mr. Dallas. The plot thickens with every accusation tossed across the courtroom floor.
Yes, Your Honor. She hid this for me 8 months. Hid my daughter from me for 8 months. And wasn't there for her to be born. Yeah, some other guy got to cut her umbilical cord. Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Dallas stands, stoic, but visibly shaken. He's prepared to fight for his family, ready to protect the life he's built. He doesn't just believe. He knows Cara isn't Mr. Butterfield's daughter, and he is willing to do anything to prove this.
So you're saying if we count back, there's no way Mr. Butterfield is Cara's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Butterfield, you look at this calendar. Is this accurate? Is this when the relationship ended and when she went back to Mr. Dallas?
No, Your Honor, it's not.
It's not?
No.
What do you remember?
Up until October 8th, the last time we had sex, because I remember. I can take a lie detector test if you want to prove it.
Mr. Butterfield challenges their denials, fueled by desperation and a haunting feeling of connection to the child he believes is his. He pleads his case, voice-breaking, a man torn by the weight of potential fatherhood.
Love her the same. She's my little daughter. She's going to be my little daughter. I'm going to raise her my life.
She is
I'm going
not
to raise
your
her.
daughter.
I'll raise her.
Nothing's going to be changed.
Nothing's going to change. I love her to death, just like I do now. Before today, I'll love her the same. You know what? With this.
But I hear you named her after what? Your grandma, and she's got your last name? That'll change very soon.
No, it won't.
Oh, no, it won't.
Cara Christine Dallas is what it's going to stick with.
No, it won't.
Watch.
Because I'm coming.
Because it's my daughter.
The judge reads the results. Silence befalls the courtroom. In the case of Butterfield versus Bracknell, Mr. Butterfield, you are the father. The words echo, a thunderous wave crashing over all doubts. The court is suddenly full of gasps at his result.
Cara's biological father is Mr. Butterfield.
What did I tell you?
It's fake.
What did I tell you?
It's fake. You ain't getting her.
What?
It's all right. We'll take another one.
Truce out.
So you were correct, Mr. Butterfield.
I just want to see her.
You ain't.
The courtroom reacts. Some cheer, others whisper in shock. Mr. Dallas, stone-faced and defeated, consoles a distraught Ms. Bracknell. The judge offers words of wisdom about healing and co-parenting. As the gavel hits, the case closes, but the story of their fractured yet hopeful family continues.
Honestly,
it would have.
It would have. I'm a Christian woman. I'm not like that. I'm not going to do that. Laugh all you want.
So, no. Now this man is over here in tears because he missed everything that he so desperately wanted to be there for. He's not going to just let this die. He's going to go back to your home state and at least petition the court so that he can.
Your Honor, my son is now facing jail because of this situation.
This very moment, you're concerned that he could be arrested for failure to pay child support for a child that both of you have doubts is even his child.
True, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor, I can hear you.
All right, so.
All right, Mr. Judge of Character, Ms. Williams admits that her relationship with Mr. Adams was not committed. It was more of an on and off situation. But does that mean she can't be certain he's the father, given she has been with other men as well? Ms. Williams acknowledges that their doubt is understandable. Still, it's Mr. Adams who has ended up running from the law. That's a strange twist, isn't it? However, Ms. Williams claims she has a very good reason for this. Let's dive into her explanation. This is shaping up to be quite a perplexing case.
I asked him twice to get the DNA test. He said, I'm hungover. He was giving me excuses, basically. So I took it upon myself to get help with the DNA test. It wasn't for no money at all. I said, I pay for the DNA test myself. You ain't got to come out of pocket.
I need to understand these details. You tell him you're pregnant.
Yes.
What happened?
Me and my ex was still trying to make things work.
Nobody ever wants to be blamed for situations like this, but Ms. Williams has a lot more to reveal, making this one of the messiest cases to ever appear in paternity court. With so many layers of drama and uncertainty, it's no wonder tensions are high. Let's brace ourselves for what she has to say next. This case is turning into a whirlwind.
Pregnant. I didn't mention him about found out it wasn't my ex.
So when you got pregnant, you didn't even include Mr. Thought it was your ex's. And your ex
I
said,
did.
well, it's mine too, and you all went through this whole process, but then you had a test. It was not your ex, it was Mr. Adams.
So it seems pretty straightforward then. If the baby isn't her ex's, it must be Mr. Adams's, right? Well, things aren't that simple in paternity court. Cases here tend to be much more complicated. So how did Mr. Adams end up in this legal mess? Ms. Williams explained that once she was certain Mr. Adams was the father, she went to the state for assistance. This revelation adds yet another layer of complexity to an already tangled situation. Let's see how this goes. This case is turning into a real wild one.
Who the potential father could be.
Yes, I did.
And you gave the state his name.
Yes, I did. Yes, he was.
Mr. Adams, did you go to court?
No, Your Honor, only due to the incarcerated.
So you didn't show up that day and you were deemed the father by default.
And that's how it all unfolded. Mrs. Adams claims she once overheard Ms. Williams telling her daughter that Mr. Adams wasn't the father of her child. However, Ms. Williams denies ever saying that. The tension is a lot as we go into Ms. Williams' side of the story. This case just keeps getting more and more intense, with each revelation adding to the drama. Let's hear exactly how Ms. Williams responds to this accusation.
She was in my very own living room.
Billy, I never said no, and I never said he was.
And I seen her. She was with a guy. She was around 9 months pregnant. I asked her to sit down and talk to me for a minute. She said, I'm positive that.
Well, let's hope Ms. Williams isn't lying, because that would be incredibly embarrassing. Naturally, Mrs. Adams says this makes her very doubtful that the child is her son's, and honestly, it's making me a bit doubtful too. Now it's time to uncover the truth, as Mr. Adams is about to make some very troubling allegations. This case has taken so many twists and turns, and it's all building up to this moment. Let's see what shocking revelations come next. This is truly one of the cases with the dumbest moms we've seen in paternity court.
Well, actually, Your Honor, I do feel like it was...
What evidence you have to suggest that?
My mother told me that she talked to Miss Williams.
That was my ex I had tested. There were no other guys.
So, Mr. Adams, Miss Williams is claiming that she asked you to take a DNA test.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. She did.
Why didn't you take it?
Excuse was he had a hangover. He couldn't get up. He was just...
No, my son was in jail. My son was in jail.
No, this was before he had got locked up. I asked him twice.
He was in jail.
Why didn't you take the test,
I
Mr.
had the
Adams?
paper sent to jail to have...
The one time that I couldn't go...
Just the ex, right? Okay then. If you say so, Ms. Williams. If you say so. Up until now, Mrs. Adams and Ms. Williams have managed to stay cordial, but suddenly tensions flare and they start shouting at each other in court. The atmosphere is electric as emotions boil over. This confrontation adds even more drama to an already intense situation. Let's see how the court handles this outburst. This case just keeps escalating, making it one of the most explosive sessions we've seen in paternity court.
Father of her child was from jump is the child of my son.
Right.
I haven't
so don't come at me like I don't know my mistake. I was young then, but I'm grown now.
Mother.
Okay, and I'm a single mother. My butt, yes I did. And I took care of my son at the end of the day.
Okay, ladies.
I'm worried about my kid.
Ladies.
I took care of my kid.
Ladies,
and I take care of my with or without your son.
I know this is emotional, but I think Ms. Williams has admitted that she knows she made some pretty huge mistakes. And Ms. Adams, I don't think you can make her feel any worse than she feels about herself.
There is surely no love lost between these two. Anyway, it is time to get this over with and see if Ms. Williams has been lying all this while. Is Mr. Adams the father, or is the father another man?
That Mr. Adams is not the father.
Take me off child support, baby.
Mr. Adams, you done come to the wrong courtroom clowning. This is not a joke.
Mr. Hunter caught Ms. Davies in the act of cheating on him and then called off his wedding to her. Really, Ms. Davies? He is also now disputing the paternity of Ms. Davies' son, Jaden, and believes he is not the father. Ms. Davies says all of this is a lie, and Mr. Hunter is basically seeing ghosts. Here is how Ms. Davies sees things.
And Devon, like you stated, have been together for 5 years, almost 6. And due to all the rumors, he no longer wants to get married. He has cut off our wedding plans. So I'm here today to prove that he is the father of Jaden.
You called off the wedding plans, Mr. Hunter?
Yes, Your Honor, because things I've seen, I don't really trust the things she do. I've seen too much to keep going on with this, so I have to make sure that...
Well, Your Honor, we met like 5.5 years ago through a mutual friend. I would say that we were happy we first got together.
This sounds like a really confident woman. Or could she just be really dumb? A woman as confident as Miss Davies can surely not be lying about the paternity of her child, right? Such weird things never happen on paternity court, right? Anyway, Ms. Davies says she is not the cheat in this relationship, and the cheat is actually Mr. Hunter.
But then I started finding text messages, phone calls from other females. So at that point of the relationship, Your Honor, I no longer trusted him at all.
Messages from whom?
Messages like, when you coming out, can I come get you? When we gonna hang out?
From men?
Yes, from men.
Miss Davies, were you entertaining other men?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
You were?
Yes, because Devon was out with other females.
That's not true. I caught her first, so that's when I started.
You caught her doing what?
I caught her with her phone messages first, and then I started going out, stepping out.
That's a lie, Your Honor. after I seen.
Oh, so both of them just continued cheating on one another. That cannot be healthy. But Ms. Davies has a good reason for cheating on her husband. Yes, she actually does, if you can believe it. And she does us the favor of sharing that reason with us.
Who can play that game, and I decided to go out and talk to someone else.
Now, once you did that, what happened?
Well, once I did, I briefly had a relationship with the guy. We were sexually...
Well, she did not sleep with the man. She was just sexually in contact with him. Okay, Ms. Davies. Anyway, Ms. Davies soon got pregnant off that one sexual contact, and now we have got to ask the million-dollar question. How does she know that the baby belongs to Mr. Hunter instead of some other man? Let us hear from her.
I was 100% sure at the time, but I wanted Devon to be the father.
All right, so now we're getting honest now, and that's what we're here to do.
Right.
The truth is when you told him you wanted him to be, but you didn't know for certain.
Yes, Your Honor.
When she told you she was pregnant, Mr. Hunter, how about you? What did you feel in that moment?
Immediately I said I have doubt because it was just...
At least we are now getting some sorely needed truths in this building. Mr. Hunter says he immediately had paternity doubt when she told him she was pregnant. He based this doubt off rumors and things he had heard and seen himself. So what things did this man hear and see that made him doubt that his partner was carrying his baby?
People tell me that she'd been hanging out, hopping in and out of cars, you know what I mean? I had a friend that told me they went to a party one time and she hooked up with some guy at the party. That was around the time when the baby was going to be conceived.
You're not denying it. You're just smirking, Miss Davies.
Well, maybe that is false, Ms. Davies, but you literally just told us now that you had sexual contact several times with another man. So Mr. Hunter is right to have a lot of paternity doubts. And then Mr. Hunter has another interesting story for us.
I'm at her house, right? She let me stay over her house. I had been drinking, so I want to go lay down, right? I accidentally fall asleep longer than I'm supposed to, so she's thinking I'm gone. She brings another guy and another girl upstairs into the room. While I'm in there.
Wait, maybe I was wrong. Mr. Hunter should not have a lot of paternity doubts. He should have a gazillion, but Ms. Davies kind of explains it away. Though her explanation is not quite helpful, let's just listen to her.
Because he was drinking. He said he needs to sleep it off for a while. So I'm thinking he's gone.
What were you bringing the guy and the girl in your room to do?
Your Honor,
we all know what that's finna do.
We did plan.
So there are now at least two different guys in the equation, and somehow Ms. Davies insists that her son belongs to Mr. Hunter. She gets so upset about everything that she starts to cry, and that just makes Mr. Hunter tell the court even more embarrassing stories. Just listen to him go.
And then she gets up and walks to the kitchen, and she's in the kitchen for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. She's supposed to come back already. I walk around to the kitchen, and she's damn near standing in between this guy's legs. Like, you know what I mean? What is that about?
What is this about? Because you say it hurts to hear you.
You know what? We have heard enough. It is time to check out the DNA test results and see what is actually going on here. Is Ms. Davies just a dumb mom, or is Mr. Hunter just trying to run from his responsibilities?
Mr. Hunter, you are not the father.
I told you.
I'm very sorry.
Mrs. Cleveland cheated on her husband with his friend, but claims that her husband is the father of her 17-month-old child, Hunter. Despite cheating, she has absolutely no doubt that he is the father of her child, and she thinks a positive DNA test today will save her marriage. Here is how she says the marriage looks like today.
I see him treating our son differently than he does his daughter, and it bothers me inside.
I try not to treat him any differently. I try to treat him like he's mine.
You said you tried to.
That I'm holding him and I look at him and, you know, I don't see me in him and I have to set him down and walk away because it's just...
Mrs. Cleveland says that she fights all the time with her husband because of this, and her marriage has basically been going downhill. But there must be a reason why her husband is having all these fights with her, right? Well, Mr. Cleveland tries to get into it, but Ms. Cleveland has a different perspective on how things went down.
Been lied to and cheated on, you know, I feel...
Your Honor, I've
feel
never
like,
cheated on him.
Oh.
I left him before I ever did anything with any
Text behind your back.
Like sexy messages, like, I miss you, I love...
Who are you sending those texts to? Your husband, I hope.
but that kind of means you were certainly cheating on your husband, right? And remember that just before admitting to cheating, Mrs. Cleveland said that she had never cheated. So this woman is certainly not above lying in court. Here is Mrs. Cleveland's perspective on things.
Well, it quits. I was ready to wash my hands. Finds out that I kissed this guy and he wants to be.
When did you find out you were pregnant with Hunter?
I found out 2 weeks before we got back together.
And once found out pregnant, you already.
Wow, Mr. Cleveland clearly loves this baby so much. It will be such a shame if it turns out he is not the father. 1 month after the child was born, Mrs. Cleveland drops the bombshell and tells Mr. Cleveland the truth that he might not be the father. And that was not the only bombshell she dropped.
Now, wait, what? Hold on, don't just gloss over that. You told him a month. What did you say?
I was a month pregnant and me and his friend had a sexual relationship.
No, she didn't, Your Honor. Otherwise, I would not have stuck around through that.
This is just so all over the place. Mr. Cleveland says if he knew that the child could belong to his friend, he would have never stuck around for the birth. He says she only told him she even slept with any of his friends after the birth of Hunter, and that nothing like that happened before the birth. So why did Mrs. Cleveland even sleep with her husband's friend? Well, the reason might shock you.
His friend was giving me a different lifestyle. He was cleaning my lifestyle up. I was involved in church every Sunday, was doing something with myself, and it made me.
You were going to church every Sunday and you end up sleeping with your husband's friend?
No.
Okay, what is worse? Your wife sleeping with your friend because he has more money than you, or your wife sleeping with your friend despite him not having more money than you? From where I am sitting, both things are equally painful, but Mrs. Cleveland at least says she regrets it. That must count for something, right? What a woman.
No, it was just once. It was just a one-time thing. I felt horrible about it. My heart was with my husband. I love him with all my heart when I didn't even care for him.
So
if you didn't care for him like that to begin with, why would you go to him?
What a really chatty couple. But even after she got back with her husband, Mrs. Cleveland did not stop cheating. In fact, she sort of continued from where she left off by kissing another man, even while they were married. Here is how she explains it.
When you're married, what happened?
Adam and I continuously fight every day, and he was at work talking about how beautiful I was, just saying all the right things to me, just made me feel wonderful about myself.
Wow, really? Mrs. Cleveland says she confessed to her husband a week later, but he insists that never happened. Instead, he says he got a gut feeling that she had cheated and then went through her phone and found evidence. That is one of the reasons he has now made this decision.
If he's not mine and if the lie detector test proves that she is lying, I'm afraid this marriage is going to be over. I can't continue to do this. I really can't.
Miss Cleveland, the stakes are high here today.
It hurts. It hurts a lot.
Came into...
The stakes have never been higher, but despite that, Mrs. Cleveland is 100% certain that her husband is the father of her child Hunter. Let us put that assurance to test by checking out the results of the DNA test.
Mr. Cleveland,
yes,
you are not the father.
I thought so. I really thought so. I mean, I see it.
Mr. Burnett insists that he cannot be the father of Ms. Fuel because her mother was a neighborhood girl. He says Ms. Fuel is now badgering him because her mother told her crazy lies about him being her father. For some strange reason, Ms. Fuel's mother has decided not to come to paternity court, so we only have Ms. Fuel and Mr. Burnett to contend with. Now, let us hear from Mr. Burnett.
Through marriage?
Yes.
So when were you told that she believed you potentially could be?
I've never heard of it until like about 2 years ago.
Really?
Really?
You didn't talk to my mom when I was a kid?
Never talked to your mom about nothing until about 2 years ago. I was told by a family member. And
what were you told by this family member?
That she looks like my family.
Oh, that is a lot. Mr. Burnett says that is a complete lie. But Miss Fuel insists that her mother cannot be lying, which is sort of weird because let me tell you, Mrs. Fuel, if there is one thing that always happens in paternity court, it is lying. But Ms. Fuel has some more things to say.
Walter was my father. She told me as an adult, came to me and said that. It was this other family member that told me that.
She's embarrassed. Her mom was the one is known as the neighborhood girl. Everybody slept with her mom. All my friends did.
That's a lie.
Did you? That's what we're trying to get down to the bottom.
Wow, that must be such a tough thing to hear about your mother. But we are getting somewhere. So Mr. Burnett slept with Ms. Fuel's mother. So there is at least a tiny chance that he could be her father, right? At least that was what Ms. Fuel heard from her mother. That's right. Everything she's saying here, she heard from her mother.
Whose
giving you information?
As an adult, I asked my mom. She told me that it was another possibility.
Miss Fuel, have you attempted to have
my daughter's page or something, and
he hasn't been in none of his 3 kids' life either.
Okay, that may be true, but isn't it even worse that you're trying to get a deadbeat dad to acknowledge you? This is really so messy, and it is so bad that Ms. Fuel's mother is not here to shed light on the entire situation. Through all of this, Mr. Burnett insists that though he has nothing, he cannot be her father.
Oh, that's just like me saying that he's my uncle.
Well, I mean, no, but no one in your family, no one close to you, no one you love, trust.
Okay.
I mean, really. I know this may be difficult for you to accept and difficult for you to take in, especially since you regard her as, but if you put yourself...
This has gone on long enough. It is time to say the truth and shame the devil. Who is really Miss Fuel's father? Mr. Burnett? Or was her mother just lying to her all this while? Let us listen to Judge Lauren read out the results.
Mr. Burnett, you are not her father.
Apologize, I'm sorry.
Sorry.